Hey guys, this is a day trader who loses $1 million in 1 hour.
D. All right. So this is like pre-market. I was swinging some short because SSR was not on. It did not trigger the previous day. And typically for these dumps, they want to trigger SSR so that shorts can't just take the people they're selling into. So I was assuming it was going to have SSR. So my goal was, I'm going to swing some short and I'm going to cover when SSR triggers. That was my plan. So you can see here, it triggers. They dump it. This is a few minutes after market open. You can see the clock here. And I go and I cover everything that I have. I cover right here, right at the SSR trigger around 475 area. It's not a great win. I mean, it's not enormous, but I made I think $7,000 on that, and that's
And see what this stuff is down here. This is called level 2, where you can see the bid and the ask. You can see like how many shares they want. They're like, this one wants 200 shares, this one wants 100, 1,700, and then this is how many they're trying to sell and the price they're trying to sell at. And you can see the reason why penny stocks can make a lot of money is the difference in the bid and the ask is quite large. If you're looking to trade the S&P 500 index, for example, there's going to be a penny difference between the bid and the ask. But let's say there's a 10-point spread, and you got 1 million shares or something, and you only get a penny. Every penny could be $100 or $1,000 or whatever, based on that spread. So you may not be able to get, if you're getting $1,000, let's say, per every penny profit, if you get that whole spread of 10 points or 10 pennies, that's instead of $1,000 a penny, if you get 10 pennies or 10 points in the spread, that's $10,000. So, and a lot of these penny stocks, well, this one really ain't penny stocks. I mean, it's a $5 stock, but when it's going from $4 all the way to 10 or whatever it is, I mean, those are humongous swings. And the guy prefaces his backstory in this as everybody was short in this particular trade. There was a lot of people that were short, and there weren't very many people that were long. All right, let's see some of the, and I wish I could zoom in more to see market value. Looks like, but right here, this is his unrealized gain, and this is his realized gain. You see he's short here. I want to say right here that looks like 6,473 shares. No, 13,000 shares. Anyway, I'll play this and we'll try to play along. And
decent. Unfortunately, it continued a little bit lower, and this is where I start feeling the FOMO, because I'm thinking, all right, well, I just threw away my shares I had from a 5+ average. What if this thing ends up dying and going to $2 today?
But I mean, right here, he's actually up. As you can see right here, it looks like he's up $7,000 because he's shorting it and it's going straight down. And I'm really not sure why he has 3 windows open. I'm not really sure why he has 3 different graphs open.
Five to 2 with 20,000 shares. That's a $60,000 win. So if it goes straight down, I'm not going to really take advantage of that because I already covered. And I'm feeling a little bit of FOMO, but it's also very early in the day, and I'm pretty convicted that they're going to bring this thing back and play some games with it at least. So much so that if I skip forward a little bit here, I actually end up taking a long on this thing. Because I'm thinking, all right, it's still not late enough in the day. I don't think they've dumped enough shares. So I'm long. I long 5,000 shares there. And again, that's not a huge long by any means. But I was so convicted in this thing squeezing back over high a day that I was like, all right, I'm going to take some long into these flushes, even though ultimately I think this thing is going to $2 today. So, I'm long this thing. Unfortunately, I ended up selling that way too early because it's kind of staying heavy, and I guess I was scared of getting caught in a down halt or something like that. And it didn't immediately rip straight up. Like, it tried to go and then it stopped. So I guess that's part of it. But I ended up selling that pretty pathetically. I think only like a $900 gain or something like that, which you'll see in just a second here. And I'm trying to, in this recording, balance letting the footage run, but also not, taking up too much of your guys' time because it is a very long recording. So I'm just trying to show like a minute or 2 footage on each of these bookmarks. Yeah, so it starts stuff in there. I get rid of it, and then it ends up ripping, I believe, into an up halt a little bit later. I relong a few, but only 500 shares. That's all I fill. And that's all I have there. And it rips right back up. And so at this point, my plan is to...
So I'm a little confused because this one is $20 and this one is like $4. I guess this one is a different ticker. I guess this one is top and this one is ILAG. And you can't see it on my screen because my screen's jacked up. But on this one right here, the top right is ILAG, and this one right here is TOP, and this one right here is ILAG again. But for whatever reason, it looked like he swapped these things around a little bit. But right now, it looks like he sold his long position. So he made $840 profit on that. He was up 7,000 on this short position, but then he's down on this one, it looks like.
See if I can do that high day squeeze, but I want to get a starter because I'm very worried at this point that I'm going to miss the dump. So I want to have at least something from that 5 range. And I'm kind of thinking I'm going to risk like the 750 area. That's what I had in my head. If I go to the daily chart real quick, just so you guys can see, it had this, this 86 million volume day here, and it wicked out at 728. So I'm thinking, all right, probably worst case scenario on this thing, they're gonna break that by a little bit, fake people out, and it's gonna die. So I'm risking, in my head, I think I'm risking 750. That's like the area that I had in mind for worst case scenario if they squeeze this thing. But I think 650 is more likely. So I want to add at 650, but not really hold it if it's ripping over 750. That's kind of what I was thinking. That was my plan. Anyways, let's get back to the footage. So at this point, I'm trying to fill some on resumption, and I ended up not filling. I don't know why, but I was trying to get just a few up here, just in case it went straight down. Again, I think there's still going to be a squeeze out, but I want to have something in case it dumps. I think part of it was some of my friends, they already had some decent size, and I had a little bit of FOMO about missing that down.
But the problem with day trading, guys, is these people, they have no idea whether it's going up or down. They really don't. They have no fucking idea if it's going up or down. They have no idea anything about the company. They don't. A lot of times they don't even know what the company does. They just see it's moving, or it has a lot of volume, or maybe there was some news today, and then they stick all their money in it, thinking whether it's going to go up or down, and thinking just because they can look at this chart here or graph that they know whether it's going to go up or down. They have no clue what's going to happen, really, to be honest. I would say, for short selling, if I definitely wouldn't short something like Tesla, who has like a cult following, and but if something, let's say, goes down 10% today, you might want to wait a couple days, and then, if it continues to go down, then, it's probably going to, if it's continuing to go down, it's probably going to keep going down. So, so something like that, is probably a a good bet. Like, for example, like I own MDGS, for example, and I don't even know if you can short it, but after a reverse split, if the reverse split is like a bad reason, like their stock was under $1 and they had to do a reverse split to stay in NASDAQ compliance, I mean, if they do a reverse split, nothing changes. It's still, your number of shares change, but the value of your shares really stays the same. But people see that usually on the negative side because, and like, I can't remember what MDGS did a reverse split to. It might have been, I can't remember if it was $9 to 1, like 10 to 1, or what. I can't remember what it was, but say the price was $1 and then it jumped to $9. So if you had in a 10 to 1, if you had 10 shares, now you would have 1 share, basically. So if you had 100 shares, now you would have 10, or 1,000 shares would be like 100. But in the case of MDGS, I can't remember what it went to. I can't remember what the split was, but I know it went like at least a 7, maybe 9, and now it's back to like 3. So, if someone was shorting it, they would have made a killing. But but anytime you short, you have to use margin, and your losses with margin are basically unlimited. And the reason your losses are unlimited is because the stock could potentially go up to infinity. I mean, it's so you got to be careful because your losses are potentially unlimited. All right, I'm gonna shut up and play the video.
So I'll go to my first short here, so you guys can see. So it reopens. I don't feel anything on those 518 shares. So I end up shorting some when it stays heavy because I'm thinking, all right, man, it just failed to go red-green. They keep stuffing it here. Maybe it doesn't go. Maybe my original thesis is going to be wrong. Maybe it's not going to squeeze out over high day. Maybe it's not as crowded as I thought it was. Unfortunately, I was very, very wrong about that, as you will soon see. So I end up shorting some. I end up chasing some.
The gift of the perfect pair of jeans that can change the way you walk into a room.
They're iconic and time.
Here, I think I get about, I believe it's.
And you can see every time he hits this short button, he's shorting 5,000 shares. So 5,000 times, let's just say 5. Was that 25 grand every time he hits the button? So I mean, every time he hits this button, when you can see when he clicks it. This is short. This is buy. So this is if you were going long. But really, if you're like a day trader, you're really not supposed to be looking at the graphs so much. You really want to be looking at this right here, the level 2. I mean, you can see here. Look at these orders. I mean, there was 82,000, 65,000, 64,000, and the sellers 20,000. So you got all these buyers coming in, and you have very few sellers coming in. So, but I don't know what his. I've never seen this guy before. I've never watched him. Apparently, I guess he does pretty well if he has $1 million to play with. But this software right here, and I did this a couple years ago. They basically give you play money to play with. And if you do well, they will give you real money to play with. And you get to keep a percentage of what you make. So let's say, they give you $10,000 to play with, and every day you make $100. Well, they might let you keep 90 of it, and you got to give 10% of it to the company or whatever. And then as you keep doing better and better, then they increase the amount of money that they give to you. And my guess is that's how this guy got started. I'm not 100% sure. But I do recognize this software right here. And I was doing good, but there's rules like you got to do. I can't remember. You got to do so many trades, or you can't do too many trades, and you can't do like one trade. You have to have like so many trades, and I was well within the parameters. I was profitable, but I had accidentally did one more trade than I was supposed to. But if somebody wants to try out day trading, that's a way you can do it, basically risk free. You can sign up for, and I forgot the name of the company or whatever. I think they're based out of England. I'm not 100% sure of that, but this is the software that they use. But this is the level 2 stuff, and like I said, when you're especially when you're shorting, you definitely want to be looking at the level 2. You don't want to be looking over here at the graphs. You want to be looking here and seeing what orders are coming and what are they selling at? What are they, when I'm buying a company that I believe is undervalued, I really don't give a shit about level 2. I don't, because I'm basically based my opinion or whatever, my decision based on what I think the company is worth, or how many dollars I think the company can produce from now to Judgment Day. I mean, who in the world would have thought See's Candy, for $20 million would give $1 billion in profit? That's crazy. That's but ultimately that is, if I think something's worth $6 and I'm buying it too, I have a little margin of safety, and the book value is maybe $4 or whatever, and so it still could go to zero, but if I think it's worth $6 and it's selling at $2, I think it's undervalued. And if the book value is $4, that gives me some margin of safety that if they did go bankrupt or something and they got liquidated, that you should still almost double your money even if they go bankrupt. But But yeah, right here, this level 2 shows you all these people that are buying. This is the bid, this is the ask. So these are the buyers and these are the sellers. And all this like BATS and ARCA, that's just the brokerage or whatever that is doing the order. I don't know exactly what each one means, but maybe let's just say this one is like E-Trade. This one, it might be Ameritrade. Maybe this one's Webull. I don't know, but or it could be the area that they're out of. It could be like Illinois or Chicago or whatever. But this one's probably NASDAQ. But this doesn't matter. So whatever this doesn't matter. That's just like, I think, like the brokerage, and I could be wrong about that, but what you're looking at is the volume here, because if they're doing day trading is going to move based on volume. I mean, you see the volume here, how it spikes up, and then there's a big move either to the upside or the downside. And as you can see right here, like there's almost no volume, and it's not moving very much. And like I said, these are two different tickers, it looks like. But right here the volume was really high, and then now the volume is kind of died down some. But you can see right here in the level 2, look at all these buy orders: 82,000, 65,000, 64,000, and let me see. I mean, this buy order right here, this one order right here is $299,000, 299,771.55. This is almost a $300,000 order right here. This is another $300,000 order. I'm not sure what that is. Let me see. That is a $384,000 order. So between these three orders right here, and I'm not sure what the market cap of this company is at this date and time. That would be something nice to know. But, you know, let's say the market cap's 20 million and you got $1 million right here. That's going to move the market dramatically. Let's say the company's 5 million, and then you got $1 million order right here, just between these three. That is going to move it either up or down. You know, 20. Is going to move the market at least 20%. Because if the market cap's $5 million and you got $1 million order, you know, it's going to move. It's going to move it. Like if you you know, are selling $1 million worth of Berkshire Hathaway, like it's not going to move it even a little smidgen, because the market cap is billions. You know, like hundreds of billions. So. But for a penny stock, if you're trading in the millions of dollars and the market cap of that company is only a few $1 million, I mean, yeah, they're going to have huge swings up or down.
It's like 29,000 shares or something, and you can see, you know, there's some serious selling going on here. But you can also see on the ask, like, there's a lot of shorts. SSR zones, you can see, you know, when the big ask follows every penny. Like, those are all just shorts, market shorting or shorting well below the bid, trying to get in at any cost, including myself. So you can see I just filled 29,000 short there.
And now, you know, just in the last, between the first clip and the last clip, you know, there was a lot more sellers than there were buyers.
And I have a 450 average.
And as you can see right here, you got a lot more sellers now than buyers. You got 100. These are in the hundreds, and these are in the, you know, 20K range.
Which is not great, but, you know, if this thing goes straight down, I got 30,000 shares from 450, and that's still decent money at $2. You know, it's not incredible money, but it's still pretty decent money. So you can see here, I'm going to go to the hammer short section. It reopens, and they got a lot of bids stacked, and, you know, the selling continues, the volume continues, the liquidation continues.
I mean, look right here. You got all these sellers and very few, well, there's a huge order right there, 130,000 and 50,000. So these two are some big long positions.
Continues. You can see, I mean, look at those bids, man. There's a lot.
Wow, look at it now. I mean, 147 I don't even think my computer has enough. I mean, my iPhone calculator has enough to fit that in there. But this order right here is $650,000 right here. Just that one right there alone. So between these two, that's probably, you know, $1.2 million or so. That's definitely a big order coming.
There's a lot of liquidation going on here. This print is pretty insane. It's pretty heavy, and it gets even crazier. So I just start spamming that short button, bro. I'm shorting up the wazoo. So I just filled another 40,000 short. And I'm like, maybe I should wait. But then the selling continues. I'm like, all right, it's about to crack low a day, and this thing's gonna be at $3 in 10 minutes from now. So I end up adding even more. Tries to bounce, can't really bounce there, so I add even more. And I think my brain, this is part of where my brain just kind of turned off. I don't know if it's greed or just not really being aware of the sizing that I had, because based on that risk level that I came in with, I want to lose max 200,000. Worst case, I'm cutting at 750. Like, I have 80,000 shares here and 30,000 shares here. So that's 110,000 shares from like a 440 average. So if this thing is at 750, bro, I mean, even not including slippage, see, I could cut right at 750. That's already a $300,000 loss. So I'm already in way too big. And when this thing does not immediately die, I should be sizing down. I should be sizing down at least until it breaks those levels there. But instead, I give it a second to see what it does. I'm like, I don't want to get faked out. I'm just going to let it chill. I'm going to let it chill and see if it ends up fading back off and that selling comes back in. Also, with the size that I have, it reaches a certain point where, like, once it gets over those levels, if I slap, the spread, it gets pretty bad, man. And with SSR on, it's hard to fill size. So if I end up slapping the ask with 20,000 or 30,000 or 40,000 shares, I'm not going to be able to get back in very easily. Like, there's a good amount of slippage there. I might cover at 470 or 4. I think when it rehalts, you'll see, or I guess when it reopens. So let me go there. Halt one open.
But you can see how he's in two different positions here. This is another company. This is Top, TOP or something. This is ILAG. He's mainly in this ILAG, but he has a position in Top as well. But you can see, like, the all these are shorts, so 10,000, 5,000 almost, another 10,000. All these are 500s. And then this one is the top position. This is, of course, a more expensive stock than, this one is a $20 stock and this one is a $4 one. So his position size, in this one is not as big, but the price of it is 4 times more. All right, let's see what happens.
So it's reopened here, and you can see, man, I'm already down pretty decently. I'm down like over 50,000 unrealized, and I could have taken some off here. It tries to break out, and I'm giving it like a little bit more time. I'm thinking, all right, they've stuffed it at that same level. It hasn't broken red green. They'll probably stuff it again.
So I mean, if you're shorting, you're expecting it to go down. But what's happening here is actually it's going up. So he's getting killed here. And most people in this trade, according to him, he said a lot of people were short. And he said that, anytime that everyone's on one side of the trade, it usually goes poorly. But what happens when you're shorting something and then the price goes up, the losses go up, and eventually they either get margin called, they actually either have to put more money in, because let's say like a bank or something. Let's say you stick your money in the bank. Well, the bank only needs 10% of your money in the bank. They loan out the other 90%. So the bank is, pretty much leveraged 10 to 1. I mean, they only have 10% of your money in the bank, and then they're, creating money out of thin air by loaning that money to 9 other people, and hopefully getting some interest on whatever loans or making money on treasury bonds or whatever it is, mortgage rates, whatever. But I'm not sure what this guy's margin is, but I want to say his margin was 850 or something. The maximum that he could borrow would be 850, and if he goes above that, his positions either get liquidated, or he has to put more money in. But anyway, let's see what happens.
And it looks like it stops there. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll be all right. Yeah, it sucks. I'm thinking about, wow, I mean, I could have had an average, a whole dollar a share better. That really stinks. But, it is what it is now. I guess I just got to hold. If this goes to $2, I'll still be looking good at the end of the day. So yeah, I mean, I had some time to downsize here. I just chose not to, which is unfortunate, man, because they soaked a lot of shorts down there. A lot of people hammered a lot of size, not just myself. A lot of people made that mistake, and you can see the spread here. I mean,
and another thing I'd like to say is, maybe this guy doesn't do it, but a lot of the day traders, they're in a group. And a lot of the day traders, let's say you got to pay a monthly fee or whatever to be in this group or to have access to their Discord. And then they will post based on how much you pay. If you're one of the top payers, you'll get, more exclusive insider information or whatever. But basically there's a group, and some of these groups are, hundreds of people. Some of these groups are thousands of people. So when you combine, 1,000 different people that are all doing the exact same thing and doing the exact same thing you're doing, I mean, if you're kind of like the king, and you got all these peasants working for you, and they do exactly as you tell them to do. If you tell them to buy at 4 and sell at 7, they're buying at 4 and selling at 7. If you're tell them to short at 5, they're shorting at 5, and not always, but I mean, when you have a group of people that are all working together, that can make your success or failure, that can tip the odds in your favor, especially if you got a few whales on your team which have, access to, say, millions of dollars. I mean, if all your people that are following you only have $100, I mean, that's not going to move the market. But if you got a couple guys in your group that have millions, and you got 100 people, that are all doing the exact same thing you're doing, you can really influence the market and manipulate the market to your favor.
The spread is nasty. It's like a 30-cent spread. So if I'm slapping the ask and it, takes another.
And the guy was just mentioning the spread was 30 cents. So like I was saying earlier, let's say you own 1 million shares or something, and every time it goes up a penny is let's say $100. If there's a spread of 30, that's the potential of $3,000. I mean, if you're hitting the whole spread, if you're let's say the bid is at 5 and the ask is at 5.30. So let's say you buy at 5 and you sell at 5.30, and you're getting $100 every penny. Well, if the spread is 30 cents, that's $3,000. So that's huge, and a lot of people may not be able to capture, 30 points or whatever, or 30 pennies, but let's say they're only able to capture 10, so let's say they're buying at 5.10 and then they're selling at 5.20, so they got a 10 point spread, and they're so if you're making a penny for $100 for every penny in the spread, that's $1,000. But of course, the way the buyers and sellers works is they find a price in the middle, and then a trade happens. So let's say someone's selling at 5.0. But I mean, if you're doing a limit order, you're saying, all right, this is the most I'm willing to pay. So they're not going to meet you in the middle in that trade, because you're telling them, hey, I'm not willing to pay 5 cents more, to meet them in the middle. I'm only willing to pay this price that I put my limit at. And some of these, and I can't really tell if this guy's doing limit orders or market orders, but when you're dealing with very volatile stocks, a lot of times, you can see it right here, it says market. So this guy is not doing limit orders, he's doing market orders. So whatever the market is at that time, then they try to meet you in the middle, to make a trade happen. Because basically, when you buy something on market, you're saying, I'm going to buy it whatever the price is right now, at that point in time.
Another 20 cents, and then I'm trying to get back in. I mean, I could lose 70 cents plus on slippage. And then you can see here, once it breaks that red-green level, everyone's trying to stop out. The veteran traders, I saw some great charts like Stan, he stopped out right at that level, and I think a lot of other people did as well. I should have stopped out there, or at least downsized. And then you'll see, once this reopens, I do have one more chance, really, to get out before it turns absolutely ridiculously bad. Now, I just want to show you guys something that just happened because it's honestly key. Instead of covering any part of my short there, I cover my unrealized losses because it is making me literally sick to my stomach to look at. I'm going to say that again. Instead of covering my short, I cover my unrealized losses. Instead of covering, I cover. I'm going to go back and rewind just so you guys can see that. I literally, once it goes into this halt, I take this thing, I drag this tab over so I can't even see my unrealized. Because at this point, what is it? At this point, it's like, it's already over the 200,000 mark. This is already more than I wanted to lose on the day, and I can't even believe it. And it makes me freeze, man. And it's bad. It's really bad. So yeah, I cover the freaking unrealized and decide to just ignore it because that's obviously the right solution. So I'm just gonna skip through these halts, man. But the second halt opens, and I have about 5 seconds where I could have slapped the ask and gotten out before it goes to the next up halt. You know, if I had market bought there, I could have. You see my fingers on the trigger. I could have taken off 20,000 shares or clicked it twice and probably taken off 40,000 shares. But did I? No, I waited to see what it did. And at that point, it was too late. And, you know, I can't risk that 750 area with the size that I had from the average that I had, bro. I can't do it. Halt 3 open. Just a very similar thing, man. I think this one was even faster.
But just think of those people that were buying down here in the 4s that had, you know, put in $1 million or so. And then, you know, let's say that they bought, you know, $1 million worth at $4, and then now the price is $6. I mean, those guys are making a killing.
Faster though. I mean, it doesn't give you time to think. It just rips straight into that uphold. So, I mean, I'm just screwed. You know, at this point, I barely rip it off just so you can see in the recording because I know I'm recording, but I don't have the stomach to stare that in the face, to accept the mistake that I was making. I didn't try to take any off at this point. I literally just sit and I watch. Here you can see the next halt. Boom. Straight into the next up halt.
So if they had bought at 4 and then now the price is, you know, 9 something, well, that's at least a double up. So they're more than double their money. If they bought, you know, $1 million worth, they're up $1 million. So now, you know, instead of $1 million, now they got $2 million to play with. And my guess is a lot of them would probably be selling at the 9 level if they bought at the 4 level.
Hesitate for half a second, you're not getting anything out. And I mean, I'm down over $500,000 at this point. I'm down like $570,000, which is already the biggest loss, you know, I ever would have taken in my career if I took it right here. At this point, I try to get out on resumption. For whatever reason, you can see my order, I have a limit for 11. It's indicating 1055, so I feel like it should work, but it auto cancels on open. You can see it canceled my buy. I don't know why it did that. Otherwise, I probably would have filled at that 1050 area. But I don't fill. And so I'm thinking, all right, well, I want to at least try to get out of some. And in my head, I was thinking, I'm going to get out of just 40,000. I'm going to downsize so that I can, ride out a little bit more and potentially get out of this alive. Again, I should have been all out at this point, but that's what my brain was thinking. But I end up, instead, hovering over my flatten button. Flatten means like get to 0 position, long or short, just no position at all. And I end up clicking it. So my account, they actually thought that I got liquidated by the liquidation parameters because I drew down to the 30% level. I thought it was 850 account. It was actually like 835, and I was down 590. So you do the math on it, on an $835,000 account, only 30% left. If you have a 70% drawdown, it's like 580,000 or something. So at this point, I should have been triggered out by them, but I end up actually pulling the trigger. You can see I clicked that flatten button right there. And I tried to cancel it, but it was too late at that point. And I'm like, really? I just covered literally dead top, realized a $590,000 loss. That really sucks. Is this just going to go straight down now at this point? That's what I was worried about. You can see it tries to downhaul, but it can't, and it ends up going into another uphaul. It's pretty crazy, man. Crazy tape, crazy volume, and it's different from
Buy on blue, sell on red. This new indicator gives extremely accurate trade signals.
ATXG and stuff like that, because it actually has liquidity. You know, there's actually pretty insane liquidity. At this point, the dollar volume on the day is 67 million. But by the end of the day, it had 200.
So the poor guy, he sold 50, 60, 70, 80,000 shares. Had basically the top at $11.62. That's brutal. That is brutal. Look at that. He sold 80,000. He sold 80,000 shares at the absolute top. That's painful. So whereas everyone else was buying shares at $4, he was buying it. You know, it's kind of like buying 80,000 shares at almost $12, 3 times the amount the average other person paid. So he's really getting screwed.
Like $50 million volume, like a $250 million volume, which is pretty decent liquidity, honestly. Like, that's not terrible liquidity. So you can see at this point, you know, that hull opens, I'm down another like 260,000. So you add that up, that's like $850,000 that I'm down at the top there, and that's, you know, the million mark. I wasn't actually down $1 million. I just wanted to clickbait you guys for YouTube. I was only down 850,000. So my bad. You can feel free to give this video a dislike if you want for my clickbait. But yeah, at that point, you know, the top is in and the promoters start to liquidate. I think
so he didn't lose $1 million. He lost 850, but close enough.
Not for that, this thing probably would have continued higher. But they finally decided to liquidate after trapping shorts. I think they were going to sell at the $4 range, and they're like, well, we can sell it, you know, 10, 9, 8, 7, and make double the profit. So why not, man? And that's what they did. And you know, if I go down a little bit more, you can see this thing, it stays heavy. So I end up actually, when it tries to rebound, I cover 20,000 in my Cobra, realize 100K loss. But then I end up reshorting, and I just add all the way back down on the backside. And we don't need these bookmarks anymore. But, you know, if I end up dragging this, just so you can see, I do re-hit some in my other account, in my Guardian. I'm not sure why, actually. I was allowed to do that after I, you know, hit that liquidation point of the 30%. But for whatever reason, they let me reshort some, which was nice because, you know, by the end of the day, this thing ends up fading off, stays super heavy. You can see I just keep adding on the backside, and it goes lower and lower. I can't add more on Guardian because I don't have any more buying power. I had like negative 400,000 buying power. So again, I don't know how they let me do that. But this thing fades pretty much all the way down to right at low a day, and then it seems like at that point they stop selling. So you know, I wish I was a little more proactive in my covers here, but I thought, you know, maybe this thing just goes straight down to 2 at this point since the top was in and the selling was over. So if it had done that, and I would have kept.
I mean, if the guy did, if he did not, because basically when you short, you're borrowing shares. So you don't actually own any shares. You're borrowing it from somebody else. And then when you sell, you're hitting the buy button actually to sell your short position. So, but when he sold at he sold 80,000 shares or actually bought 80,000 shares at the absolute peak. So if he just would have been a little more patient and not panicked, he still would have had 80,000 shares going down here, and he probably would have broken even, at least on this ticker, this ILAG one. Because I mean, if you're if you're buying at $12, I mean, between here and here, I mean, that's 3 times your money right there. So I think he would have been okay if he didn't panic up here and buy it the highest price possible. And he actually probably would have broke even maybe on this trade.
At it, especially under low day. So I honestly could have gotten out break even if it had gone straight to 2, but it wasn't meant to be, and it's probably better this way because I end up learning the lesson that I need to learn. And after that point, I think still a lot of shorts are trapped from a bad average. The shorts from a good average cover. The promoter stops selling, so this thing actually turns into a mini short squeeze, starts uptrending, and eventually squeezes out. And it gets pretty tricky towards the end of the day there. And I end up just covering everything that I have. Top ends up dumping later on as well. Unfortunately, I took off all my size right before it cracked 9 because I thought it might squeeze, and then they just liquidate to 5 in like a couple minutes. So I was able to make another like $20,000 there. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it in terms of the live trading footage. So